Alright, so this is a hot topic. Ever since the Phoenix race ended, this has been a discussion among NASCAR fans. Take a look at this. Chase Briscoe, Ross Chastain, Tyler Reddick, Ryan Blaney, they finished top 4 in this race. What do all 4 of these drivers have in common? They drove for Brad Keselowski Racing in the Truck Series. And now, of course, if you remember Brad Keselowski Racing, this was a pretty fairly successful Truck Series team. They were not on the level of the Busch Motorsports or the Thor Sport Racing, but they were a pretty solid Truck Series team. Back in their heyday, they were the only competitive Dodge and eventually Ford once Team Penske switched to Ford. That team also switched to Ford. But they were the only competitive Ford team for quite some time in the Truck Series. It is safe to say that the talent that has competed for them, the drivers that have raced for them, they have gone on to do some great things in both the Cup and the Xfinity Series. And this has garnered a discussion. Which team is the better driver development team? And I'm not talking about which team is the better, because if we went over by the sheer numbers alone, the answer would be pretty clear. But between Busch Motorsports and Brad Keselowski Racing, which team is the better driver development team? Let's talk about it. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to list every single driver that was a prospect for either Busch Motorsports or Brad Keselowski Racing. And by prospect, I mean basically young drivers, so you're not going to see any of the Kyle Busch or the Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski or Denny Hamlin or Martin Truex Jr. or any of that stuff. None of the veterans here. I'm only going to be listing off the young drivers. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at their body of work up until now, and then we are going to compare which group of drivers has done more. And then I'm going to deliver my verdict. That's what I'm basically going to do it. For Busch Motorsports, we have Bubba Wallace, Daniel Suarez, Eric Jones, William Byron, Christopher Bell, Noah Gragson, Todd Gilliland, Harrison Burton, and I guess you could say Kaz Grala. I'm going to include him because his body of work overall is very minimal. He drove for Busch Motorsports actually. He didn't drive for them in the Truck Series though. He drove for them like in the late model, for their late model team. He was a development driver, which means that he was a development driver for either Busch Motorsports or Joe Gibbs Racing at some point in time, but he was eventually snatched away by Chevrolet eventually. I don't know if I don't know if I should include him, but his body of work is so minimal that I don't feel like it's going to affect my final verdict, so I just feel fine including him, I guess. Now for Brad Keselowski Racing side, we got Ryan Blaney here, Ross Chastain, Tyler Reddick, Daniel Hemrick, Austin Cindric, and Chase Briscoe, as well as, again, Parker Kligerman and Austin Theriault, which, again, they aren't running in the Cup Series right now. I mean, Kligerman is running part-time in the Truck Series, and Austin Theriault, he's not racing in NASCAR at all. The last time he ran was in, 2019 for Rick Ward Racing. But then again, I am including Kaz Grala in the Busch Motorsports side, so I'm going to include these two guys as well on the Brad Keselowski Racing side. I feel like it's going to make things a bit more even. Now the next step is comparing the body of work on both sides. And the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to take every single driver's accomplishments on both sides. I'm going to tally them up, and then we're going to compare. Let's see which side has more Cup wins, which side has more Xfinity wins, Truck Series wins, and stuff like that. If a driver won an Xfinity title, then I'm also going to include that, and any other minor accomplishments that that driver might have had during their time as a prospect. So it's just simple as that. So let's get started. So for the Busch Motorsports side, I did the math, tallied them up, and I came up with these results. Check this out. The Busch Motorsports side combined for 6 Cup Series wins, 43 Xfinity wins, 33 Truck Series wins, 2 Xfinity titles, 2 Truck Series titles, 2 Rookie of the Year in the Cup Series, 4 Rookie of the Year in the Xfinity Series, 2 Rookie of the Year in the Truck Series, as well as 2 ARCA East titles and 2 ARCA West titles. That's the Busch Motorsports side. On the Brad Keselowski Racing side, this side, they combined for 9 Cup Series wins, 43 Xfinity wins, 15 Truck Series wins, 4 Xfinity titles, 0 Truck Series titles though. They have 2 Rookie of the Year in the Cup Series, 2 in the Xfinity Rookie of the Year, and 2 Rookie of the Year in the Truck Series as well, and 2 titles in the ARCA Menards Series. This is the, in case you guys didn't know, the ARCA Menards is the division that is like above the ARCA East and West. It is the main ARCA series, so those titles, they hold much more weight than an ARCA East or an ARCA West title, for just so you know. So what do we make of this? What's the point? What's the conclusion that we can draw out of this? Well, it's pretty obvious to me, and maybe to you guys as well. The Busch Motorsports drivers, they had the most success under the KBM banner. As a matter of fact, of the 33 Truck Series wins that these drivers combined for, 30 of those came under the Busch Motorsports banner, as well as the 2 Truck Series titles. Brad Keselowski Racing, on the other hand, these drivers combined for 15 Truck Series wins, but only 9 of those came under the BKR Racing banner. So with all of these numbers being thrown at you, what conclusions can you draw out of all of this? I think, to me, the answer is pretty clear. While Busch Motorsports, they won a lot of races and championships as a team, when you look at their drivers' body of work compared to the Brad Keselowski Racing's, especially in the Xfinity and Cup Series side, it becomes abundantly clear that the Brad Keselowski Racing bunch, they have gone on to do a lot of great things for other teams. And the reason why is pretty simple. Brad Keselowski Racing, they were not on the level of Busch Motorsports as a race team. I mean, you look at Busch Motorsports and the funding that they have and the support that they have from Joe Gibbs Racing. They're basically Joe Gibbs Racing's Truck Series team, basically. And with the funding that they provide, it is pretty clear that they are going to always be contending for wins week in and week out and competing for championships, as shown by the drivers, by these aforementioned drivers combining for 30 wins and the 2 Truck Series championships. Like 33 of those Truck Series wins by this young crop of drivers. Of those 33 Truck Series wins, 30 of those came with Busch Motorsports, including, of course, the 2 Truck Series titles. When you look at Brad Keselowski Racing's and their drivers combining for 15 Truck Series wins, only 9 of those 15 came under the Brad Keselowski Racing banner. So it is pretty clear that while the Busch Motorsports drivers, they've had the most success in the Truck Series, they have kind of plateaued ever since. Sure, you have the drivers like you got the Christopher Bells, the William Byrons, and the Eric Joneses, and the Daniel Suarez as well, who won an Xfinity title on his own. But outside of those four drivers, you don't really hear a lot from the other drivers. I mean, Bubba Wallace, he only has that one Cup win, but he's been a mid-pack driver for basically his whole career. Noah Gragson, he's still in Xfinity. Todd Gilliland, and Harrison Burton, they're Cup Series rookies. And Kaz Grala, he's been a part-time driver for the past few years of his career. Compare this to Brad Keselowski Racing, and you look at every single driver here outside of Daniel Hemrick is a full-time Cup Series driver. And Parker Kligerman is a part-time Truck Series driver. Austin Theriault, he hasn't run since what, 2019, I believe. But outside of those three guys, everybody else, Blaney, Chastain, Tyler Reddick, Cindric, and Briscoe, they have, Brad Keselowski Racing right now, they have 5 full-time Cup Series drivers. You compare this with Busch Motorsports, and they have only 6 full-time Cup Series drivers, with 2 of those being rookies. But honestly, I gotta say, when people say Brad Keselowski Racing's truck team was like the greatest talent farm in NASCAR, better than Busch Motorsports, that honestly has some merit to it. I mean, I'm still giving the edge to Busch Motorsports simply because that team still lives on, competing for wins and championships week in and week out. But I have no doubt in my mind that if Brad Keselowski Racing lived on to this day as a Truck Series team, they would have won a lot more races, and they would have possibly won a championship. So overall, if you tell me Brad Keselowski Racing was a better driver development team than Busch Motorsports, I'm not going to push you back on that. You actually have a point. Again, I'm still going with Busch Motorsports simply because of the sheer amount of drivers that they produced. But Brad Keselowski Racing proved that sometimes quality over quantity is the way to go. So then again, like I said, it's pretty debatable when it comes to this whole Busch Motorsports versus Brad Keselowski Racing debate. But at the end of the day, I'm giving this slight edge to Busch Motorsports simply because, number one, that team is still going strong to this day. Well, Brad Keselowski Racing, that team shut down 5 years ago. But number two, and most importantly, that team is a championship winning organization. Brad Keselowski Racing, they were not a championship winning organization all the time. Like, they had a few years with Ryan Blaney and Tyler Reddick where they looked like they could compete, but at the end of the day, they never really got that championship. And the reason why, it's pretty clear when you look at how the drivers like Ross Chastain and the Daniel Hemricks, they have gone on to do great things for other teams. It is pretty clear to me that Brad Keselowski, while he got a great eye for talent, the equipment and resources that he gave those drivers, you kind of feel like he was holding them back at sometimes. Like, for example, you look at Tyler Reddick or Chase Briscoe. If those guys were driving for Busch Motorsports in some alternate universe, I have no doubt in my mind that they would have gone down as Truck Series champions. Of course, that's not the timeline that we live in, but just to show the insane talent that went through Brad Keselowski Racing, the fact that Brad Keselowski couldn't win a championship with any of these guys is honestly a travesty. And again, if you want to say that Brad Keselowski Racing is the better truck team because of that, you might have a point. However, I'm still going with KBM because, again, I feel like Brad Keselowski Racing was holding these guys back, I feel like.